I want to ask one question to start this off. What is one thing that most people get completely wrong when they go into the process of selecting materials?
So when it comes to specifically decking, they buy with their eyes. So they see some dark decking and they think it's the most beautiful thing and they want to buy it because it looks rich and elegant, and it absolutely does. We're in South Florida.
Right.
It gets hot. These things get hot. So I really have to try to steer people and just ask them, do you have pets? Do you have kids? You're going to be out there barefoot. Maybe take a sample home with you, put it where you're going to have your dock, and then just feel it after it's been in the sun for a little bit.
Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast episode. You're listening to the Home Design Podcast. My name is Adam Kayce, your host, and we aim to educate, inspire, and connect South Florida with the industry authorities within their trade. Building for performance, longevity, and style starts with the right materials. In this episode, we're going to get expert insights to help pros as well as homeowners choose the best products for every deck, dock, and coastal project, so you can build smarter from the ground up. All with Alexis Camelio of Decks and Docks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm here.
Yeah? You heard the jingle.
I love the jingle.
Yeah. So we've known each other for a while. You've been in this industry for a while now, and with Decks and Docks for almost
11 years.
11 years.
We're over 11 years now.
That's a commitment.
That's a commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we dive into all of that, I want to probably ask you the most challenging question of the day.
Amazing.
You ready?
Yep.
Who is Alexis Camelio?
I work for Decks and Docks. Been doing this 11 years. Before that, it was nothing like this. I was bartending, waitressing, secretary jobs, didn't have a career. When I got hired at Decks and Docks to be like an assistant at our Fort Pierce location, I didn't know what a 2x4 was.
Right.
And they took the time to just grow me into what I am now. I'm grateful for that. And when I'm not doing this, I do dog rescue.
That's amazing. Well, tell us about that, because I mean, that's your passion.
That's my passion. Yeah. So, and I'm very lucky that Decks and Docks has been a huge supporter. It's the farm dog rescue or a foster-based rescue. We've been doing this 7 years now. Every January we do like a fundraising concert. Last year we had Sarah Evans. We had Uncle Cracker the year before that. Yeah. And Decks and Docks has been a huge financial supporter to those concerts, and I appreciate that.
Those are done in South Florida?
Those are done in South Florida, usually in like the Jensen area.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't
Martin
wait to hear
County.
when's the next one.
Yeah. It's going to be first weekend in February.
All right.
You'll get an invite.
That's awesome. No, I had no idea. I mean, I know that you've been a part of this association or organization for a while. That's your passion, but that's really cool. That's a major event. And, going into Decks and Docks, because it's amazing when an employer, a brand, a company supports your personal efforts and everything as well.
Huge.
I want to talk about the brand itself for a little bit.
Love to.
Tell us a little bit about, bring us back. What's a little of the history of the company?
So Decks and Docks, as far as from what I've known, so the owners that when I started with the company, that were two fathers and two sons, I want to say 2005 they bought the company, and it had already been in existence from like 97.
Okay.
I think they had one location in St. Petersburg, and then just from there it's grown, and it's still family owned. We do have an investment company now with us as well, which is helping with our expansion. But yeah, we've been growing a ridiculous amount. Again, when I started with the company 11 years ago, we had 11 locations, and I think now we're up to 48.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's quick too.
It's quick.
I mean, you guys are scaling, and I feel like even more so in the past like 5 or so years.
Yes.
It's really expedited.
It's absolutely expedited. I mean, just recently, I think we've acquired 5 new locations. We're in Kansas City. We're in Iowa. Our most recent one is Rhode Island. We're everywhere.
Carolinas,
in Texas now, Carolinas, New York, New Jersey. Yeah, we're everywhere.
So safe to say, in many places, if someone's looking for quality materials,
absolutely, any deck dock material, definitely on the East Coast of the United States, and now we are moving more toward the Midwest.
That's amazing. That's exciting, because for you to be able to be a part of it and be a part of like that entire growth strategy, and I know they always have you going everywhere, because you're like one of the individuals that helps these new locations get up and going, and we see you on videos and everything and talking about materials. So we had to have you come on the Home Design Podcast.
That's just because I'm a sucker and I'm like, I'll do anything. I love you. They've been so good to me that I want to be so good to them. Yeah. That's
amazing. And the fact that obviously they've recognized that. But when you're looking at, probably endless amounts of other suppliers, companies, things like that, what truly makes Decks and Docks different from the rest?
That's a tough question. So obviously our capacity. So we have so much buying power now. Customer service is huge for us. We like, at least, if somebody orders something, we want to be able to get it to them within 24 hours. Where a lot of our competitors, and we've got good competitors, I don't want to say anything negative about them, but a lot of them are, 2 to 3 days out on delivery. And the selection that we have, the knowledge that our people inside have, and the amount of one-on-one help we'll give to homeowners, contractors, all of our locations go well above and beyond when it comes to customer service. So we may not always be the least expensive, but we're definitely going to get you the best customer service.
Quality is everything. And that's everything. And just the way that you speak about the brand, Decks and Docks has done an incredible job creating a culture, and you can feel that through the way you speak about it, how your associates do, how from top to bottom, every single person in the company, like there is definitely a culture that people can feel.
Yeah. And everybody that I worked with and have worked with for over the years, we're proud to work for this company. Right. And not a lot of people can say that. And they take care of their people. They care. The owners know the names of the drivers in every yard and the yard guys at every yard.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because they're a part of it. Yeah. They're not just here at, or in office. They're going from location to location. They're a part of the growth.
They're a huge part of the growth. And they recognize that it's those people that are on the ground, the delivery drivers. It's those people that make the company what it is, the people inside selling.
That's amazing. Yeah. And what you guys are selling is obviously premium materials. Yep. You're helping people, build their dreams. Yes. You're helping major projects to homeowners who are selecting products, things like that. But I want to ask one question to start this off. What is one thing that most people, whether they're homeowners or contractors, get completely wrong when they go into the process of selecting materials?
So I will say something that I've noticed that I get the question all the time when it comes to specifically decking, composite decking. They buy with their eyes. So they see some dark decking and they think it's the most beautiful thing and they want to buy it because it looks rich and elegant, and it absolutely does. No argument there. We're in South Florida. Right. It gets hot. These things get hot. So I really have to try to steer people and just ask them, do you have pets? Do you have kids? You're going to be out there barefoot. Think about what you're doing. Maybe take a sample home with you, put it where you're going to have your dock, and then just feel it after it's been in the sun for a little bit.
Absolutely, because that goes into everything. It's like, what should we know about all of these different materials? Because, today we're going to be discussing exotic hardwoods. We're going to be talking about PVC products, composite products, all of the different types of products that are available in the market. And there are pros and cons to everything.
100%.
But to start off, if we're looking at like synthetic products, which there's a few different types, and then natural woods, what would you say is the biggest difference between them?
So you have kind of three different types of composites, like three kind of families. You have your wood fiber composites, you have your HDPE, which is kind of like what milk jugs are made out of, and then you have your PVC. And then you have your natural wood and your hardwoods. Natural wood, hardwood, a lot of maintenance, which is fine. If you take care of it and you don't mind doing the maintenance on it, it can last you a really long time.
But realistically speaking, most people are lazy.
Most people don't want to do it. I know. I certainly don't. I don't want to go out there every year and sand it and have to stain it and mess with it like that. And a lot of people don't want to. If they don't want to spend the extra money, or it's just not in their budget, go ahead and we can get you some really nice pressure treated lumber, and we can make your dock or deck look really nice. But if it's something that this is a forever house for you, definitely would steer them more toward the synthetics. And then it comes down to what's important to them. Is it temperature? Is it strength? Is it longevity? Is it price?
So talking about the synthetics, like between those few, I guess, talking about, overall quality.
Yep.
What are those differences between them? Because, what is going into them like is drastically different.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they've all kind of got their pros and cons. I would say, your wood fiber composites, they have some really gorgeous colors. They've got some brands. Trex has been around forever. It's got a name that people know. It's like Band-Aid or Jello. It's one of those names that everybody knows. They stand by their product, easy to install. And people really like just having something called Trex.
Right.
For your PVCs, again, you've got a lot of pretty color options. They don't get as hot as a wood fiber composite would, but they can still get a little warm. Again, steer toward the lighter colors on those. And with your HDPE, it's just a different type of plastic. The HDPE we sell the most of is the Wear Deck, and that's got fiberglass in it. Okay. So it's super strong. So you can span that 24 inches on center, which is uncommon for a composite board, which means like your stringers just have to be 2 feet apart versus 16 inches. For
which
pressure treated wood,
less material, things like that.
Less labor, all of that. Yeah.
And those are all the factors that go into the overall cost of a project.
Absolutely.
Because so when you're looking at the strength and the cost of all these, as far as budget wise, is which one is, I guess, more expensive to least?
So Trex and your TimberTech / AZEK, which are not kind of one brand, so I'll just call it TimberTech. TimberTech carries wood fiber composite and PVC line as well. Right. So Trex and your TimberTech, you have several different price tiers, and they are pretty extreme in their price tiers. I mean, you can go from anywhere from $9 to $10 a linear foot down to something like $2 a linear foot, all in the same brand name. Same thing with AZEK; they start a little bit higher. And then go about the same, like top cap. Right. Wear Deck is just one price point. They only have 8 colors. It's not variegated. You're not going to get all those like sexy colors, right? But they're nice colors, and the product's going to last forever.
All of those, or
the Wear Deck will. The Wear Deck does have a lifetime warranty on it. Okay,
and when you what is like the defining part of that makes it a lifetime type product versus others not being?
I believe it's the fiberglass that's in it that gives it that structural integrity and gives it that lifetime warranty. It's a virgin plastic with fiberglass kind of around it.
So when looking at all of these, because you suggested from the start, get a sample of the material, put it outside, feel it, see how do these products fade at all?
So yeah, it's Florida. Everything's gonna fade. And some will say like, oh, they have minimal fade. But no matter what, if you've got a dock in full sun and you put a planter on it and move that planter a year later, you're gonna see a difference. Right. And that's for all of them. Obviously, again, lighter colors, you're not gonna notice it as much. Some of them, do better at having better UV inhibitors than other ones, but they're all going to fade a little bit.
Is there any type of preventative maintenance that you can add to or do for any of these products? I mean, the sun is obviously
the sun. I know the sun's going to win. Yeah. I know the sun will always win. Again, it'll be minimal with lighter colors. If you do have furniture planters, I would recommend moving them around. But what's nice about the composites is there is no maintenance. Right. You can just clean it with a scrub brush or something easy, a low pressure washer.
So when we're talking about all of like the maintenance and things like that, like obviously fading and it's minimal. And the thing is, it looks a little bit worn and it looks like it's meant to be there because if everything looks brand new, it doesn't really look authentic either. But when looking at everything, when you're talking about, just these different materials, do they stain or is it pretty much?
It's pretty much, most of them are really easy to clean. Right. I haven't had too many issues with staining over the years that we've had problems where they're like, oh my gosh, this stain. Every once in a while, if you put a product, I think we had an issue with AZEK many years ago where somebody had, was under a tree and there was stuff dropping on it and there were some issues with it and AZEK came in and replaced the boards. And that's another great thing about all these companies is they really do take care and want their products to perform well. Right. And if for some reason they're not, their warranties, they really are good about following through on those warranties.
They just have a line item, do not put under
Do not put under, exactly. Like try to keep the ducks from pooping on.
Right, yeah. That's funny. Yeah. But so to break it down simply, top to bottom, most expensive, highest quality to lower, more budget friendly.
It's hard to categorize that because they're different product
and there's an application
categories.
For each.
There's an application for each. Trex does have I want to say it's on their Lineage line. They're most expensive, and then they also have their Enhanced collection, which is their extremely affordable collection. Again, that's closer to like $2 a foot, which is almost comparable to wood.
Right.
It's a scalloped bottom board, so you're getting a little bit less material. 25-year warranty versus a 30-year warranty, but it's still a Trex product. You still get a warranty, and it still looks great laying
25
down.
years is still 25 years.
25 years is still 25
years. And that's
years.
a warranty.
And that's
doesn't
warranty.
mean that it's not going to last longer.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when looking at all these, I mean, these companies must have put all of their products through like rigorous tests and things like that, because, you know, there's some that they haven't even been around for 25 years,
Correct.
30 years. So, you know, do you know what that, have you ever experienced, or do you know what type of testing they go through?
I do not, unfortunately. I haven't been to our plants. I know a lot of our employees have been. I have not yet been to any of our composite plants, but I know the R&D that goes into these products, and they're changing all the time. They're improving all the time.
The technology is incredible.
Incredible. Trex used to be an uncapped composite, so that was just like a wood fiber composite with no plastic coating on that, and that didn't do so great. And 15 years ago, maybe, they completely changed everything. They don't sell it like that anymore. And now it's a product that will last 25, 30, 40 years.
And for all of these products, I mean, I feel like a lot of these brands, they also have these like incredibly enhanced and easy like installation type systems that, you know, I've seen over the years as far as how it's evolved. But I do want to talk about that, because when somebody is installing, or for the contractors who are, you know, looking to source products, or maybe they haven't worked with some of these products, touch on, you know, some of the installation process, because I know some of them are just like literally click. Some of them are, you know, obviously you're drilling through.
Drilling in.
Yeah.
It depends on what the contractor wants to do and what the application is. So face screwing you can always do, and everything has color match screws now. Every product, every deck product out there has a screw color that matches. So you can just face screw that down. There's also plug systems for everything, where you screw it down a little lower, and then you get a plug of the actual product that you kind of hammer right in, and then you see nothing. You can get a clip system. So you have the grooved boards, and then it's a hidden fastening system altogether. Lots of options.
When it comes to those, is there any that are better than others, or some that you prefer versus others?
So if it's on a dock and you're worried about hurricanes or storm surges, I would recommend face screwing down. That way, if you need to pull up boards, a few boards here and there, to be able to let that water pass through so your whole dock doesn't pop right off.
Right.
Face screwing is the way to do it, because if you have a clip system in there, you got to take all those boards off.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And so there's, you know, like maybe if somebody has like a deck.
Yep.
The clip systems might be more applicable to something like that versus like if you have a dock.
If you have a dock.
I don't have a dock. So I, you know, just thinking about that,
Yeah.
you know, that's a great point, because when somebody is going into that process, you know, whether they're building for somebody or if it's a homeowner selecting, knowing that is a huge factor, because often it's the homeowner going back there to lift some of those
boards up, and they're like, what did we do? It looks so cool, because it looks great. A grooved, you know, that clip system is totally, you know, you don't see any fasteners. It looks awesome. But then you run into a situation where you're like, and now we have to take the whole dock out, or it's just going to float away.
Right. No, exactly. And that's an expensive float.
We love it when that happens. We don't hate it.
Job
Job security. We don't want any lives lost, but if your dock floats off, that's terrible. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And when talking about the natural woods, the exotic hardwoods that we're hearing about, like ipe, kumuru, garapa, what are the main differences? And I guess let's start there. What are the main differences between those exotics that are most popular that people are using for their decks and docks?
Ipe is always the one, and this has been the case over the years for me, that's like the go-to for the exotic hardwood. Always has been. It's always what I've sold, and I've sold a lot of it. Recently, with whatever's going on in Brazil, because it comes out of Brazil, it's been harder to get. It's getting more expensive. The lead times are longer. So people are moving more toward garapa and kumru, like you mentioned. They're a little bit lighter, so where ipe is that like really dark, rich brown color, and it kind of grays out eventually if you don't oil it every year, which some people like. They like that silvery look to it. But you can oil it every year, and then it stays that dark, rich brown. Kumru and garapa, less expensive than ipe, easier to get. Not quite as dense as the ipe and not quite as dark as the ipe, but still tropical hardwood, still a great product.
Absolutely. And people are using them for facades, for everything. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And, you know, do those exotic hardwoods, do they not splinter because of their density?
They last for, I have not seen them splinter. And I've been selling them again for 11 years.
What about like heat and things like that? Do they heat up and
No
burn
more
your
than
feet?
regular wood. Yeah, no more than regular wood would.
That's important because, if somebody has a family or not or whatever,
Exactly.
I mean, they're thinking about their kids running out, or just in general, the comfort of it is a big factor.
Exactly. That's a huge factor. And again, that's what I tell people with the composites. And again, because I'm a dog person, not so much a kid person, my first question is always, do you have pets? And my second one is, do you have kids? But first one is like, I don't want your dog to burn their paws.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you're getting, because, the supply comes from so many different places. Are all Ipes equal? Are all Garappas equal? Like, how does that
From
part
what
of the
I've
industry?
seen, yes. Now, you can, if you're getting it from kind of a shady, our vendors are great, and we've been partners with them for so long, and they take good care of us, and we get good products from them. If they do have a lot of kind of these fly-by-night warehouses that have a lot of these hardwoods, you may get some less than pretty boards coming in,
Right.
Just stuff that's been laying around, or it's already starting to gray out, or it's just not in top condition. But Ipe is all Ipe. If it's actually Ipe, it should all be the same.
Right. And talking about that, because we touched on the maintenance side, you literally have to go out there, do a light
year.
sanding, oil it. My first home, I had a Ipe slat fence.
Did you really?
Yes. And because
you
I
know.
love it. It was small.
It's beautiful.
And my wife could attest to this. I would every 6 months or so, I would go out there and I had this sander, and I would come in and I would be orange. Literally
awful.
orange. You get it all over yourself. So, I mean, you have to be, if you're going to do it yourself, you got to be ready for it.
You got to be really ready, because it is labor intensive. And then after you do all that, then you got to oil it with like a rosewood oil. We use Penafin Gold, but any kind of rosewood oil would work. Or you don't have to. Now, some people don't want to, and they do let it just gray out. Doesn't
Right.
compromise the structural integrity at all. It gives it that silver look, and some people like that.
But I will say it is beautiful.
Beautiful.
Exotic hardwoods, there is something about them that they are beautiful. And it does add like a luxury component,
Absolutely.
feel to a building or, home or whatever it might be. When you're looking at all these different types of materials, do you ever see, whether it's builders, designers, homeowners mixing materials from synthetic as well as natural woods?
So not that often. Now, what we have seen a lot and still see is, if, again, for a dock, let's say they're starting from scratch or rebuilding, same thing with the deck, your substructure was or is typically pressure treated wood with like a high chemical treatment that's can hold up in saltwater conditions,
Right.
Like a CCA treatment. And then you'll put a synthetic decking on top. We now have Owens Corning lumber that makes synthetic framing, and it's the same material basically that Wear Deck is made out of. So it's the HDPE with the fiberglass, so it's strong, never going to rust, never going to rut. So you can actually do a fully synthetic. You can do synthetic pilings, you can do synthetic framing, and you can do your synthetic decking. That's never going to go anywhere.
Right, without a doubt. And that's a good point, because the substructure is very different, and what goes into that, and there's different types of, treated woods and things like that. But when looking at the investment, because people are looking at, what type of investment do I want to make? Do I want to do the maintenance? Do I not want to do the maintenance? How does the maintenance cost, affect the overall cost over the course of years? But when somebody's looking at all these different components, as far as the cost, the material, the longevity, everything, what should they how should somebody going into this really look at the budget to build it, but really the long-term budget as far as to upkeep it?
Yeah. So, and that is always a question that I ask, especially with homeowners. Contractors, they do what they do and they order what they want. But homeowners don't always know what they want to do. And a lot of times I'll ask them, is this a forever house for you? Or are you going to be leaving in 5 years? Or is this a vacation home? If this is a forever house, it's worth putting that investment in. It's worth using a synthetic framing. It's worth getting the higher quality, synthetic decking, where you don't have to deal with the maintenance year after year after year.
Right.
That's kind of my go-to on that. It's kind of like, how long do you plan on being here? And how much are you going to be out there and enjoying it? Because that maintenance can, in the first couple of years, fine, no problem. But 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it starts to wear on you a little bit.
Oh, without a doubt. And as far as the size of the project as well, if it's a small area, it's one thing, you might be able to live with it. But if it's a massive dock and then you have a deck area and then you have all these different areas,
then you're hiring people to do it, because
Right.
a lot of these people, if they've got, if they can spend the money on that kind of a size dock, that kind of a size deck, hopefully they can spend the money on having somebody come out there every year. But then again, that's more money that you're putting into it.
Right.
So they're going to be shelling out a lot more initially. It is, I mean, if you're getting synthetic decking versus wood, you can expect to pay at least 3 times more.
Right.
Or just out of the gate. But there's not going to be the maintenance issue. So, people have to calculate that for themselves.
Yeah. And what is longevity as far as, we know like 25 to 30 years is relatively standard for the synthetic. Mm-hmm. What about these exotic hardwoods that we're talking about? Like, what is the life?
The lifespan for Ipe, I mean, it's got to be 50 years for Ipe. Yeah. And for pressure treated lumber, just your regular standard, pressure treated deck board, if you take care of it, and I mean, like, take care of it every 6 months, at least every year, but every 6 months, ideally, 10, 15 years you can get out of it.
Right. What about Kumaro and Garapa? Is it similar to Ipe?
Similar to Ipe.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lifelong, I guess, maintenance plan.
It adds so much. Yeah.
But, it will last. You won't have to, really ever really have to touch it again.
It's rare that we see projects that we're replacing Ipe on.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, these trees and where it's coming from and where it's being forested from, and that's a whole different conversation as far as the forestation and like what they're doing, but they're doing it in a controlled way.
They absolutely are, and that really kind of freaked me out in the beginning when I'm like, this is coming from the rainforest of Brazil. We're killing rainforest. That's not how it works at all. They are not clear cutting this stuff. This isn't stuff that grows fast like southern pine. There's so many regulations on what trees can be cut, how old they have to be, what you have to leave standing. They keep it well regulated.
And when looking at, installation and the contractors, is it something that somebody could do on their own? Is it a DIY? We know the maintenance is DIY, but, installation of these types of products and things like that, I mean, is it something that you would advise against?
Not necessarily. It can absolutely be DIY if you kind of know what you're doing. There's some great videos on YouTube. I hate to say, but YouTube's can be your best friend. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it can really break it down step by step for you. It's yes, homeowners can do it. If I would suggest they not do it if they've never had any building experience or any kind of hands-on experience. With building, but if they've got any kind of background or if they built their dog's house or a shed or whatever, they probably can do it.
That's amazing.
Now that's for decks. Let me back that up. Docks are a little different because you've got pilings involved. There's a couple more factors at play there that, make it a little more tricky.
Right. Is there anything as far as like a deck installation that you've seen over the years that maybe a homeowner has tried, or even a contractor where you've like, well, what did you do? Is there any like common mistakes that you see out there that people can be aware of? Like, don't do this. Like, this is a common mistake that you may do.
Luckily I have not, because usually once I sell it, for the most part, now there are projects that I'll go out on. Yeah, once I sell it, I'm gone. It's always that, measure twice, cut once, because I've been on job sites where I've seen the opposite happen and they're like, oops, now we need 3 more deck boards. I will get that a lot from contractors, like, oh, the idiot on the job site cut this the wrong way. It's that. It's the basic stuff of just cutting stuff wrong. Right.
If they're coming back to buy the same amount, there was a problem.
Yeah. And if it's a contractor, they're always like, oh, I can't believe it. He just did that. They get all mad. And I'm like, oh, that's terrible. I have to sell you more material. No.
Do you suggest, like, is it the same type of factor? Like if someone's putting down flooring, order 10% more or anything like that when somebody is budgeting and ordering for a project?
Depending on if it's a homeowner or a contractor, and depending on what the material is. If it's something that we know it's got a long lead time. Some products have long lead times. And so then we would recommend, buy yourself a little bit extra. And that way, let's say you don't need it for the job, but let's say 5 years from now, something happens to one of your deck boards, you crack it or whatever, boat runs into it, whatever. You've got some backup boards stashed away.
That's a great point. But what about like, especially not necessarily, the natural, but for synthetic products, lot numbers, color dyes, things like that. Is there much variation in that, or is it more consistent than other products?
No, unfortunately, there can be some variation in that. And that's frustrating. That's, again, another reason why we do suggest maybe buy a couple extra, again, especially for the homeowners.
Right.
They also change colors a lot. So every couple years, you'll get discontinued colors. From almost all the brands, all the synthetic brands are going to discontinue colors.
Right.
So you may not be able to get that color that you got initially. So buy a little bit extra just so you have it, just in case.
And talking about those colors, what are the most popular colors, or I guess general, because they all probably have their own names, but what colors would you say is most popular? I guess, nationally because you guys are national.
We're national
but
too.
also talking about here on a Florida level.
So on a Florida level, and I can definitely speak more on the Florida level, definitely your lighter grays and lighter browns.
Okay.
That would be your more popular colors. And I'm sure in other areas, I think up north, they probably go with a lot of the darker colors because they can. Here they kind of stay away from it. But I know all our yards stock a couple of our different brands, and generally we're stocking them in those light grays, light brown, sand colors, things like that.
Absolutely. And that makes sense. And you know, even like up north, I mean, darker, you know, I guess away from the coast more so. If you're coastal, a lot of things are generally lighter and everything.
Yeah.
But talking about trends overall, because trends, it's like a marketing gimmick. Like the whole point of it is to be able to sell something else and like, oh, this is the hottest thing coming in.
This is the newest thing.
Yeah.
It's the best thing. Yeah.
How do you see trends being affecting the industry as far as when it comes to the different materials and everything that's being sold?
So it's a good question. I don't see that much with what I'm doing. Is it comes in like waves. So I'll have 6 months where I'm selling almost nothing but eBay. And then I'll have, then I won't sell a stick of it for another 8 months.
Right.
So it just comes in these waves, but I don't know how the trends affect that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or if one of our brands, if Trex is doing some like really hard marketing pushes, you will see more Trex sales.
That makes sense.
And absolutely makes sense. And we appreciate it. And, we love that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
But what about like installation trends? Is there like different patterns or ways of installation that you ever see that might be different rather than just running something linear? Do deck companies get creative in that sense?
They can get creative. So individually they can, and the higher end customers want, the designs,
right.
they want to get, the compass on it, and yes, and they will have these specific designs. But a lot of our contractors who've been doing this a long time, they have the ways that they like. A lot of them are kind of stuck in their ways, which is fine. And that's the way they like to do it. Now, if their customer requests something different or something out of the box, they're happy to do it.
Right. So we've talked about some of these when it comes to best for. So I want to run down a quick list just to have some quick points. I want to talk about best products for. So we'll start with best product for waterfront properties.
I would say Wear Deck. Just because I know it's stronger, it stays cooler. Yeah, and I've sold a huge marina with it. We've sold multiple marinas with it, and it holds up beautifully. It's just a very durable product. Right. Easy to clean, lasts forever, can take a big beating. Yeah.
Absolutely. Best for barefoot comfort.
Again, Wear Deck. I'm gonna get in so much trouble for
Are
this.
You sponsored by that?
They actually have a collection called Barefoot Collection.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But now I will say that a lot of the other companies are coming out with cool deck technology. Moisture Chilled has it. Trex is doing it. I'm not sure if TimberTech is doing it, but there are other options. But from what I've seen, and when people tell me that's their most important thing, that's kind of the direction I go.
But when they're talking about the variation of it, is it a drastic difference between that and the next?
So if you were to take a piece of like Barefoot Gray Wear Deck and set it next to like a very dark wood fiber composite, I don't know if I say that,
right.
There's a drastic, you cannot walk on the dark ones.
Really?
You absolutely cannot. You will burn your feet.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Best product for a DIY installation.
We just did one with Decorators Decking, and that was really easy to install, came really fast, and they made it easy. They made their railing kits are easy to put together. That's like for DIYers, perfect for that.
Yeah. And that's a good point, because with railings and things like that, like people, it's not just the surface. Like there's the railing, there's the
so
steps,
much.
there's the stairs.
Yes.
There's all these different components that go into these deck systems.
And the railings can get really complicated because there are so many options, which can be great. But some people just want something that's just kind of like a plug and play kind of thing.
Right.
Like a prefabricated, 8-foot section, and you just put those next to each other, fit them in, and you're done.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you see all these other railing systems. Do you guys get into like the cable railing and all the other?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What about glass? Because every now and then you do see glass rail systems, and that's probably like something that someone asks for. You're like, oh. Okay.
That eye roll. Yes, that is definitely that. So the last time I've sold glass railing, now I think we can get the actual glass panels, but before we would sell the railing kits that would have the channels, and then the customer would be responsible for buying the glass, just because it's so hard to transport. board.
Yeah.
And we don't want that responsibility.
Oh, without a doubt. And, I mean, and obviously down here in Florida, especially, like, you can't, I mean, you need tempered or like certain type of glass system. So that way, obviously.
And again, maintenance on that. Now, if you have this amazing view, cable rail is good for that because that kind of just fades away and kind of blends into nothing. But some people want glass.
Right. No, without it, I couldn't imagine the cleaning and the upkeep of glass.
That's what I think. I'm like, how? Why would you do that to yours? Looks beautiful. So modern, gorgeous. I've seen some absolutely beautiful applications with it. But I'm like, for a lot of work
once it's installed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have pets or kids, you're going to see a lot of like face prints,
prints, face prints, exactly. A little peanut butter and jelly handprint.
Absolutely.
No, thank you.
And then I also want to ask best product for ROI.
That's another tough one.
And I guess you could look at it as what do people like? If ROI could mean a lot of different things, but say somebody goes to sell their house. And somebody sees something, is there something that, well, and I guess there's a lot of variables that goes into everything, but generally speaking, if somebody sees a product and is there one that will help sell a home more than another?
I think anything synthetic or a rich epay. Right. So even if you were to get your lower end of the synthetics, the aesthetics of them are still going to look nice. Right. It's still going to look good. It doesn't have to cost you a fortune. And I think that's what a lot of, home buyers are looking at. They walk out there on the dock and they see a new, beautiful composite dock.
Right.
They don't care that it was the lower end composite. If it looks nice.
And most homeowners have no idea.
They're not looking underneath it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they never will.
And
that's something that maybe if somebody is like a spec home builder or a flipper or something like that, where it's not building for them, but they want the quality, they want the effect, they want all of that. And in the buyer's perspective of, okay, I'm buying this house, I won't have to touch the dock or deck or anything. Yep. So that's a great point.
Yeah.
So, and then as far as a topic that, we always like touching on is like myth busting. And we've touched on this, but is natural wood always high maintenance?
Yes.
So no matter what you're looking at, or are there any that, unless I guess not high maintenance, if you like the great effect.
If you like
because you don't touch it.
You don't touch it. So that's for your tropical woods. Now, as far as just your regular pressure treated yellow pine board, if you wanted to that's in these South Florida conditions.
Right.
If you've got a deck or even a dock somewhere in like the Lake of the Ozarks or wherever, you can probably, get away with, maybe once a year on it or less. If you're not getting a ton of sun, if there's not a lot of salt water, it can last. If it's treated correctly, it can last.
Right. But
with minimal maintenance.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Because that's the biggest thing in the climate and everything.
Correct.
And, being so close to the ocean, the salt effect and everything.
Hard.
Right. And as far as being here in Florida specifically, the best product for Florida, would you again? Yeah.
I think so. Just from what I've seen and from how our contractors have reacted to it, how homeowners have reacted to it, and just how the longevity of it, the ease of it. And again, there are drawbacks to it. Again, you don't get variegated colors. You don't get all those sexy, rich colors that look like real, they look beautiful. But if you have a certain aesthetic in mind, that might not be the choice for you. If that's more important than the functionality and the longevity of it, then you might want to go with something else. But
are there other products that look more real, or for the synthetics?
For sure.
Like what would you say is the most real looking product?
Everybody's always trying. I think TimberTech has TimberTech's wood fiber collection. They have some really pretty colors. Same with Trex. Anything that's got like those color variegations in it. But to be honest, the thing that looks most like wood is wood.
Right, exactly. No, without a doubt. But what's impressive with all these different types of composites and synthetic products is the texture, like everything about
the
it.
The grain pattern.
Exactly.
They put so much into these, and they all have different grain patterns. I can usually tell the brand of a deck board just by eyeballing it by the grain pattern.
Right, exactly. And when looking at everything, as far as we talked about, general budgets for, linear square foot and things like that. Obviously you are not installers, but is there like a general, I guess, scope that somebody can base a quote off of as far as like where an installation should be on top of the linear square foot?
I couldn't hazard a guess just because there are so many variables, because so many contractors do things different ways. Some contractors add a, upcharge on their material as is their right. Some don't. There's just so many
Right.
variables that I wouldn't want to hazard a guess. And depending on the size of the contracting company, the bigger guys are going to charge more.
Right.
Your smaller, backyard outfits are going to charge a lot less.
Right.
But I wouldn't even want to put a number on it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but but the biggest factor is just like anyone, you want to get multiple quotes because you want to get an idea. Just like you guys. I mean, there's a value to working with a larger company, the dependability, the fact that you're not going anywhere, that you're going to be, for support down the road. Where smaller guys, they have their benefit as well, but also you don't know.
You don't know if they're going to show up or if they're insured or
right.
And again, you're exactly right. Like it really depends on what your needs are. Usually, if people ask me for, when homeowners say, "Hey, do you have anybody you can recommend?" I'll try to add, what's the size of the project? What are you. If it's a smaller project, I'll give them a couple different names of a couple different contractors that I trust, but that I know are okay doing these smaller projects.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because there's variables for everything, but there is somebody for every type of project, and it all depends on the individual because that relationships often start after a project is done, because that's when things can come up. Warranties, whatever it might be, to make sure that somebody's going to be there to be able to answer questions and be able to help. And before we were talking about the Seawalls with Pilings, with all of these other different types of products. What are, when it comes to Seawalls particularly, what are like the different types of materials that people are using for these?
Typically, so for smaller size, not smaller, but most seawalls that I sell, that we sell, you're going to be using a vinyl sheet.
Okay.
And then if you need something more heavier duty from our commercial applications, you jump up to a composite sheet.
Okay.
A lot more expensive, but it's worth it. I mean, it's a much heavier duty sheet. You can also do steel sheeting. Some people do wood seawalls. But the one we sell the most for seawalls is vinyl.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because all of these things need to be insured, like when somebody, it's part of like the insurance of any property. Are there any that fees better that in the sense of like from a perspective of an insurance company? Because that's also, a budgetary type of thing to be able to consider. Do you know of anything that, insurance companies prefer?
I honestly don't. I do know that I would recommend, even for a small seawall, I would recommend getting with an engineer to help you. If a homeowner wants to do it themselves, that is not one project I would recommend.
Weekend warriors, stay away from seawalls.
Please stay away from seawalls. Please get an engineer in there. There's so many factors on soil depth and density. There's a lot that goes into what size sheet you need, and it's an important thing that it can cause a lot of damage if you do it wrong.
Right.
So please get with an engineer if you're going to install a seawall.
Without a doubt. And with that, like when we're talking about, docks or even, the construction of homes, pilings are everywhere.
Yes.
Let's talk about the functionality of a piling and when it goes into the process of building a dock.
Mm-hmm. So you've got there's a couple different types of piling. Most commonly we see your wood pile. Southern yellow pine treated at 2.5 CCA, which is a really high retention of the copper chromate arsenate. And you can also get a PVC piling. EcoPile makes a good one. And then a composite pile, which is a very strong, heavy duty, very expensive. If you've got a heavy boat lift, commercial applications, again. But pilings, and it's funny because it'll vary from area to area depending on, like in Fort Pierce, that store there, they sell a lot of like 8s and 9s and 10s. You get, farther down south and you're selling a lot more, 10s and 12s. That's like inch diameter pilings. Yeah. And then again, it's project dependent.
Right.
Yeah.
And but you would say like for like someone more luxury home, like ultra luxury, they're going more of the composite.
I would suggest that. Yeah. Because again, you could do everything composite. You could have from your, foundation to your decking to your pilings, everything composite.
Looking at everything, there's so many different components when it comes to the materials, when it comes to everything that goes into product selection. What would you, other than, the heat element, like on your feet, obviously budgets are a big component. Are there any other types of factors that homeowners or builders should really consider when going into the selection process of these different materials?
Aesthetics, visually, what you like. It can be overwhelming. So when a homeowner walks into one of our showrooms, we have hundreds of different decks on colors and brands and on styles on the wall, and it can just be too much to take in. So we try to kind of narrow it down. Again, color, temperature, what you're looking for specifically. But yeah, there's a lot of options, and it can get a little bit overwhelming.
Right.
So trying to narrow it down before you even go in is helpful.
Without a doubt. And everyone has their own personal preference and things like that. But would you say that there's any type of like common reason for early failure, like, or any type of like,
incorrect installation?
It all comes down to installation.
It really does. Yeah. That's what I've seen. Yeah.
And when you've seen that, is there like, what are those like?
They set their stringers too far apart. So
Gotcha.
so you're going to get bowing of the boards. I'm like, oh, this board bowed. Well, how far apart were your supports underneath it? And if it's too far, of course it's going to bow.
Right.
And
and what is the proper?
So for just about everything except for wear deck, you're looking at 16 inches on center for residential, and then they want closer to 12 to 14 for commercial.
Okay.
But 16 on center is a pretty good average for most of their 1x composites.
Right.
Which most people can get away with. You don't usually need a 2x.
Right.
The wear deck, you can do, again, 24 on center. What's nice about that is that that's generally what your pressure treated wood would be set at, is that. So if your substructure is fine and you just want to replace your deck boards, if you use wear deck, you don't even have to add the stringers
You
in.
don't touch anything.
Nope.
That's amazing.
lay
Because
right on top.
others you'd obviously have to reinforce
Yeah.
and
which is fine. I mean, and that's okay too. It's not ridiculous, but it's a
right.
a nice little bonus.
Because you guys also, you work with obviously, people, working on residential homes, things like that. There's commercial applications, but also there's builders who are working with HOAs and different processes like that. Is there anything that I guess appeals more to the HOA world versus just building for an individual that can make their own decisions?
Well, that's the thing, making their own decisions. HOAs are tricky. They're very tricky. I've had to actually go present in front of HOAs with different materials, because one thing that HOAs want is consistency. It would seem like, and I mean really consistent. Like they want all of the docks or deck, whatever we're talking about, to be same color, sometimes same brand. So they want consistency. That's the only thing I've seen. I haven't seen them be product specific or material specific. It's more consistency on whoever on the board decides whatever they decide. But they can be tricky.
And the biggest problem with HOAs is so many people involved with the selection process. So it's like a vote to vote.
Yes, it's painful. It's a painful process. Again, presenting in front of them, I'm just like, just hit me with every question you have. I'll do my best, but what do you like?
Yeah. Well, and also HOAs, they're interviewing, suppliers, they're interviewing contractors, they're interviewing everybody that's going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
What can you say, like, because you guys have obviously worked with a lot of HOAs, what can you say as far as decks and docks that really appeals to these HOA?
The fact that we've been around a long time, the fact that we do, we can get them whatever material, everything that they need for whatever they're building. And just the consistency, reliability. They know we're going to be there. They know we're going to stand by the product.
Right.
They like that.
So and then going off of like, installation, doesn't matter what type of project, these contractors, they have to go and get permits. Are there any factors that, permitting departments or state regulations look for in the type of material, or it's more so just how the structure is going to be built? Because, we look at everything that's installed in a home, it has to pass some type of code, especially here in South Florida. And does that affect, material or anything like that?
So for permitting, we don't really mess with permits per se, but,
is there a selling point to any types of products in particular when it comes to, strength, the overall strength of a deck system or a dock system?
Not that I've seen. Not that I've seen. Now, if it's spec'd a certain way, and they will they'll say it has to be, they'll pick a certain product. It has to be Trex stacking or equivalent. Other than that, we kind of stay out. That's the contractor's lane. And there's not much that we have to get involved with for the permitting side of things that I've seen.
Right. And, we know that a lot of products are coming in from all over the world. A lot of the, the exotics that we talked about, they're coming from Brazil. I know that I believe product synthetics coming from like Canada.
There's a lot that come from Canada.
what have you guys seen as of lately in regards to tariffs and getting product or the effect of anything? Has it been minimal or has it impacted the industry?
So far, the only thing we've really gotten hit with is hardware, obviously, because
Right.
we have been getting a lot of hardware from China, but we have found other sources outside of that. A lot of our, again, I keep using this, but Wear Deck is made in Ocala, which is nice. So it's local.
Wow, it's Florida based. That's
it's
great.
a Florida based company. So that's another like benefit. But I believe Trex is made in the United States, same with Timber Tech, AZEC, but there are a lot of companies that are made out of Canada. But as far as us getting hit with the tariffs, the only thing that we've really felt for now is with hardware. I know
Right.
a lot of like our screws and fasteners, bolts, things like that. Those prices have
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that it makes an impact, when you're,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the amount of screws and everything that's used on every team,
Oh, yeah.
every system, but is there any type of surprises or unknown factors that people should be aware of when they're replacing their deck? Anything that comes up typically in a project that, is something that you can kind of raise awareness for?
Definitely.
Or I wish I did it differently.
Wish I did it differently. So definitely when you are kind of like assessing your deck or your dock, and if you're thinking, oh, I just need to replace these deck boards, definitely check out your substructure, because a lot of people forget about the framing. I mean, you can
What should they look for?
Soft spots in it, anything rotting, nails rusting through. I mean, it's really easy to see, but even if you touch it, if you can pull on the boards and they move, if you can press and, you can feel it get soft, any kind of softness in your substructure, you're going to want to think about replacing it. And I know it's annoying and it's expensive, but it's kind of a necessity. Why are you going to put something new on top of something that's probably going to fail?
Right. Right, because it doesn't matter the longevity of a board if the structure itself is no good.
Caca. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, no good for anybody. Yeah, and again, that is why if they can afford it, I do now kind of, if people have the budget for it, going with a synthetic framing, because then you'll never have to worry about that.
Right, right.
It becomes a non-issue.
Without a doubt. And then talking about the contractor side. So you guys obviously have people that that you're just comfortable with. You have the relationships and things like that. But when somebody is going into, decks and docks and these installations, is there anything that you recommend to individuals when hiring a contractor, like questions that they should ask? Obviously, insurance is a big thing.
Insurance is a big thing. That's actually a good point that maybe I should be telling them questions to ask. A lot of times it comes down to if they have the time. So if the contractors, they can be 6 months out, and these guys, and that's tough, because if a homeowner wants to do something, they kind of want to do it now,
Right.
or at least get a call back. So the people that I recommend are going to be people that I know will call them back. And have the time. But as far as like the interview process of a contractor, I don't really have any good questions for them, just because I've worked in my mind. I'm already like, okay, these guys are good. This is who I'm going to send them to.
Right. Or what makes a contractor not good? Is it because you've seen a lot of projects
not paying their bills to us?
Well, that's a good indicator.
It's a huge thing, because the people you should be paying first are your employees and your vendors.
Right.
I will not recommend people, and not just because they're not paying us, but because obviously they're not running their business well.
Right.
So yeah, that's not a good contractor.
That's a big factor. And would you recommend to people to come to you guys first to be able to get the proper knowledge on material, or call a deck type installation company first?
I think, especially for a homeowner, for smaller projects, coming into a place like Decks and Docks,
and you guys
getting a
encourage
feel.
it.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, coming in to get a feel for the products, see what's out there. Then at least you're not going in blind. And if you can get some referrals of contractors, you're also not going in blind at that way either, because you don't know what kind of ads are out there. Just looking through the phone book, but Google or whatever.
Right.
Anybody can say anything. But where you go into a store where we've had experience, we've worked with these contractors. We can tell you who we trust, and I stand by the contractors that I recommend.
And you guys are able to give an honest, education on every type of product, pros, cons, everything, so they can make those decisions, versus a contractor where they might just be most comfortable with a product and they're pushing people towards it.
Yep. And that's their prerogative, and sure, but yes, I think it's best if a homeowner comes in, gets a feel for it, starts to have some ideas, so that when they do talk to the contractor, they can say, these are the products that we like, this is why we like them, have you worked with this before? And then they can kind of go from there.
Absolutely. When going into just your career and what you've seen, what you've worked with, things like that, is there like a most memorable project that you've been on that's just been amazing?
There's been a few. So The first one that sticks out, meaning first, like earliest in my career, and this had to be 8 or 9 years ago, I sold a really nice big e-pay job for a pavilion. All I really knew about it at the time was it going to be an e-pay pavilion at a hospital. Didn't ask too many questions. I was still pretty green at this point. Maybe 2 years later, my husband had some health issues, and I'm upstairs in his room at the hospital. He was there for 2 or 3 weeks, and I look out the window. And I'm looking down until they had like a man-made lake out there, and there's the pavilion made out of e-pay that I sold. And it was just one of those moments where you're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool!
Yeah,
like this is awesome!" I'm like, I sold that. Like I know he's over there sick, but look how cool that is. So that was exciting for me. We did a huge product in Boca. It was like a mile. It was Lake Wyman and Rutherford. It was like 2 parks that they were connecting.
Oh wow!
And it was my first and maybe only at this point $1 million job, and that wear deck, all the pilings, everything else. It was an amazing project to be a part of. And we were out there a lot, just checking it out and watching how they did it. Gorgeous. And
when you get those exciting projects, obviously you guys want to, be able to see it firsthand and experience it.
It's so cool. It's so cool to go out there and just like watch what they do and how they use it, and then to see it when it's done, to see it while it's in progress. I like going out there too to just, do you need anything? You need a box of screws? Do you need, some Gatorades, whatever you need? And then just getting to see it from the whole process, because it kind of brings it all home.
Oh, without a doubt. When looking at, for you, so if you were building your own deck or dock, what product would you be using for yourself?
So my mom just built like a little deck off the side of her house, and she did use the Wear Deck Barefoot Gray because she goes out there barefoot all the time. And so that's probably what I would go with. Now, again, I am starting to become a little more partial to decorators. They've got some really cool colors, really affordable things, but for my own house, it would either be, let me back that up. It would either be e-pay, but that's a lot of maintenance and a lot of money, or it would be the Wear Deck, specifically the Barefoot Gray.
And a big factor to this when we're talking about budget, because budget, if it's a smaller project, the budget will still, it's not going to be so drastically different where it will be, where the value of it might be worth just to do it. When it's a massive project, obviously budget comes into play more in the sense of those dollars as far as how much more linear foot that product might be versus others.
Yeah. But a lot of times those bigger projects are done by really big contractors and they've already budgeted. And we see, especially, farther south you go, they don't care about the price. They say, what's the best that you've got? Not what's the least expensive or most affordable, but what's the best? And they spend a ridiculous amount of money and they just don't care.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is fun for us.
Without a doubt. No, those are fun when those projects come to you.
What else do you need?
Right. Yeah. And the fact that, you guys have so many locations, if they're doing projects in different areas.
100%. And not only do we have so many locations, we also have our Haven division, which is all our marine accessories. So where we sell everything you need to build your deck or dock, our Haven division sells everything, all the accoutrements, so your ladders, your cleats, your lights, your fish tables, all the accessories for your dock, which is great because then you really can do everything.
Right.
We also have an export division, Harbor Export, so we not only are selling all over the country, but we're selling all over the world now.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So let's touch on that a little bit further. What are all the products that you guys represent?
All of them. Everything. Literally, when I say everything you need to build your deck or your dock, it's that. And now because we are expanding into, more Midwest things, there's a lot more fencing involved and things like that. But really all the building materials that you need, and then everything you need to kind of finish it off. Basically anything.
So you don't have to go anywhere else.
You do not
start to finish.
Start to finish. And again, where you can get your power pedestals, you get literally everything that you need.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we spoke about a lot of different things about materials, quality of product, variety of product, brands. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to bring light to?
I can't think of anything. Like I said, our different, like how we have the export division and the Haven division, I think those are huge assets to what we do. And again, just how wide our reach is now. I think those are amazing.
Absolutely. No, it's incredible. And the story is inspiring as far as how you guys have grown.
Oh, yeah.
But talking about you and your position within the company and everything, what do you personally love most about working at Decks and Docks?
The fact that they trust me to do what I do. That's a tough question because I love and I'm not being cheesy here, but I really, this is the most incredible company I've ever worked for. They truly do care about their people, which makes us care about our customers. It just goes down. The respect that we're given, the familiarity that our owners have with us. And I mean, these guys are big now. Like the owners of our company are big. This is a huge company now.
Right.
And they still take the time to wish people happy birthday. If there's a, forklift drivers whose wife is in the hospital, we're sending flowers to them from it's still a family as big as we are. And it's, again, it sounds cheesy and I don't mean it to, but it's incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah. And that means a lot.
It means a lot.
And that goes far in an individual, whether it's a homeowner or a contractor, can read into that as far as, again, culture, as far as what has been built and established. But for anybody who would like to contact you guys, reach out to you, what's the best way?
Go to our website, www.dex-docs.com.
And you guys are all over Instagram, social media.
Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, we also have a whole online store, dexstore.com. And that is, everything online. So homeowner, anything you need, you can order it right online, all your pricing, everything else. And that's kind of like a whole nother separate division.
Right. And for you yourself, your focus, your region that you focus on, as far as location, if somebody's in the South Florida area or...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll go anywhere that they want me to go, but I'm predominantly in South Florida area. But again, I'll go anywhere. One other thing I wanted to touch on the company really quick that I forgot, the promotion from within, where we've got guys who are hired as yard guys who are now running locations.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
So they build within, they have a training program, educational program.
Yes.
You also have they want internal growth.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And that's great because, that gives people the longevity and they understanding that, there's a place for me, there's a place to grow.
Yeah.
So that's amazing to hear.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming in today. We learned a lot. It was amazing getting all the insight, your experience, and just what's going on in the decking and material industry. So thank you for that. But for all of you, thank you for tuning in. We are Florida's premier destination for everything home design and home improvement. Visit the home design and remodeling shows in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, as well as Palm Beach. You can go to our website at homeshows.com. Follow us at FL Home Shows, but make sure you subscribe to our channel to get all of the latest in home design and home improvement. But until next time, stay tuned for the next episode.